Welcome to USF 2000 AI League Season 4, Race 18 here at Lime Rock Park. The championship is starting to get down to the wire right now. Qualifying is underway. Already 3 minutes have passed. Pretty cloudy here today. Mahavir Raghunathan, first car out, attempting to do a qualifying lap. A very fast and flowy circuit. Less than a minute lap times around here. A lot of cars exiting the pits. Raghunathan will be the first one to put down a lap. Currently a pink and a green. '17 trying to push. The 83 is on a pretty decent lap. So Mahavir Raghunathan, first driver to set a time, and it will be a 55.4. Gus Fring right behind. Going to improve from that by about 2 seconds. Spring Roll, who moved back to second in the championship after doing pretty bad at Michigan, is currently on a pink. Around the fast final couple turns. Back onto the straightaway. We see a 53.4, currently up by a tenth on Gus Fring. Some of these guys on pretty good laps. Saul Goodman goes third. Sussus Amogus has won 2 races in a row, goes second, as Tetsu goes first with a 52.6. So currently the 9 into first, but Spring Roll going very fast. He's got the 77 right behind him. Spencer Alfredo, who's also going pretty quick. It's not going to be pole. The 77 gets close, but only goes 5th. About 6/10 off. The Sun shoots up into 3rd place. We don't really see him up here on road courses, but right now he's doing pretty well for himself. Saul Goodman shoots up to 3rd. Tetsu may have just improved his lap. It looked close. No, it's actually only a 53.2. May Borowski was on a good one and goes first place with a 52.577. May Borowski currently on pole as of now. And Spring Roll now goes to the top with a 52.5. The 14 of the Sun has a pink but 2 yellows. Gonna need a good draft from the 10 down this front straightaway. It's not gonna be pole. It's not even gonna be an improvement. And Gus Fring now goes to first with a 52.244. Now the time to beat. And Phil Slow now goes first with a 52.0. Chris championship contender goes fourth. Beijing Beef now first with a 51.9. We're seeing these times slowly improving. Rogero Espinel moves up into the top 5, going 5th. Chris just ahead of Spring Roll on time. So looking like another good day. Susa Samogus moves up into 7th. Tetsu moves up into 5th. Good times there. The 18 could be on a good one. It's not good enough for pole, not even an improvement. And Spencer Alfredo will go right behind his teammate and will go 3rd place with a 52.1. About 2 tenths off 1st place. And the 2 of Spring Roll has gone off track, still off track. Sussus Amogus has another pink. And Beijing Beef still stays up on top. Sussus Amogus moves into 3rd. And Chris now shoots up into 3rd. A very fast track, only just over 50 seconds to get around here. It's got some good passing opportunities. The chicane has created some chaos over the seasons. Missing Sock moves into the top 10. It's currently the 99. In a good spot right now. Not really in a position, though, to improve as he has cars just in front of him. As checkered flag is out. That is it. Some cars finishing up. Spencer Alfredo shoots up into 3rd. So back into the top 3. 68 thousandths off 1st place. Phil Slow only about 500ths off. They're very close at the top. So now, let's take a look at your starting lineup for this race. On pole, Beijing Beef with a 51.9. Despite being 3rd in the championship, he is winless this season. Maybe he can turn it around today. Phil Slow dropped a lot in the points after another bad race at Michigan and's gonna need to try to fight back. Spencer Alfredo and Chris, current championship leader, in 4th place. Row 3, Sussus Amogus has won 2 races in a row, trying to look for a 3rd. Gonna be alongside Karishima. Row 4, May Borowski and David Bialois. Row 5, Chad Broski and Gus Fring. Row 6, Diogo Sebastio and Tetsu. And then we go back to row 7, where we'll see Rogero Espinel gonna be right behind his teammate and missing Sock. Row 8, we see Max Cold and 2nd in the championship, Spring Roll, pretty far back compared to the other championship contenders. Row 9 is Eliza Doe and John Panini. And then row 10, Wine Silly Man and Befother, top 20, all within a second. Row 11, we have Saul Goodman and OxyClean, both within a second. And then row 12, also just within a second, the Sun and Jacques Croissant. And then rounding out the field is Mahavir Raghunathan, the only car with outside a second of 1st place. Take a look at your race info. 79 degrees. It is pretty cloudy today. Not very windy though. Um, Previous winner, season 1, Brennan Hubbard returning in Gus Fring. No, sorry, the father and the son, who are 20th and 23rd in qualifying. So they have some work to do. Then you have Karl Marx, who returns as Sussus Amogus, who is currently in 5th. And then Chad Broski, who has returned in full form, going to be starting in 9th. So definitely has a shot to defend today. And then let's take a look at your championship standings. So Chris did jump into first place, up by 20 points now, over Spring Roll. Then it's Beijing Beef, Tetsu Tetsu, Gus Fring, Eliza Doe, Saul Goodman, Wine Silly Man. Phil Slow drops 4 spots after a bad race and was one of the biggest losers actually. One of the biggest movers was Eliza Doe, who moved up into 6th. Chad Broski into 10th, Karishma 11th, 12th is Diogo Sebastio. Sussus Hamogus moves up 6 spots in the points after winning a double points race and is currently actually tied for 12th. And then it's Max Cole, John Panini, Spencer Alfredo, OxyClean, the father, David Bialois, May Borowski, Jacques Croissant, Missing Sock, Rogero Espinhel, the son, and Mahavir Raghunathan. So take a look at your team standings. Silly Snorters back on top by about 33 points this time, and that's just a one-car team. That is Chris. Then Beijing Beef and Spring Rolls team are in second. Then third place is Los Polos Hermanos, which is Gus Fring and Saul Goodman. Then you have the Flat Earthers, BFL Racing, Magenta Saucies. Team RAS moves up 5 spots in points. That's a single car team. That's Sussus Amogus. And then the Graveyard, Team YouTube, La Vitesse, the Laundry Boys, Ruodam Sebastio Racing Foot, the Italian Mob, and Ragoonfin Racing. Alright, so now let's go back to the track. So, predictions before the race starts. I'm definitely gonna go with Phil Slow on this one. I just feel like whenever he starts out near the front, it's just gonna be a good day. I have a feeling he's gonna go around the outside early into turn 1 or make a move going down into the chicane and is gonna take the lead. Beijing Beef has not won a race yet. Maybe he can get it done today, but my bet is on Phil Slow. If I had to pick a second car, I'd say Chris, and then Sussus Amogus would be some of my other picks. So now we look around for the pace laps, and then we'll be underway. 43 laps, but they'll go by really quickly, as this track is faster to lap than some of the ovals we go to this season. Like, I think Indy is a bit longer or about the same as going around here, and this is only 43 laps, so this race is definitely going to be done pretty quickly. Or, well, at least the laps are going to go over really quickly. The race will probably be about normal length. Through the chicane. We've seen lots of chaos in that chicane over the seasons. We've seen cars just stop, some cars get taken out, incidents at the start, with some cars piling in at the back. You do not want to lock up your brakes there at the start, or you're going into the back of someone, because it's a huge checkup. And then you have the fast couple turns and then you're back onto the front stretch. You can easily get a good draft. As here we go, pace car pulling off. Beijing Beef will lead us to green here at Lime Rock. Phil Slow already got a good start and is already looking to go around the outside. And just like that, he gets it done. Phil Slow into first place. And Chris now fighting Beijing Beef. This is pretty big for the championship, as these are two championship contenders right here. As we go down into the chicane. Everybody seems to have made it through. Phil Slow, now your leader. Phil Slow has a habit of taking off once he takes the lead. We see we have a battle here, and then Spencer Alfredo and Sussus Amogus are battling. Spencer Alfredo will hold on, staying around the outside. But now they're back side by side again. 77 should have the advantage for this turn. Spencer Alfredo will stay in fourth. This would be really good for Magenta Saucies if they can finish first and fourth. But they definitely want to try to get that 77 onto the podium. Currently getting close to the podium, actually. Slowly reeling into Chris. But up front, Beijing Beef has closed in on Phil Slow. It just seems like Phil Slow's definitely a lot faster through that first turn. Spencer Alfredo still trying to chase down Chris. About 3/10 back. Most of the field still together. A second now between Phil Slow and Beijing Beef. As now Chris now right behind Beijing Beef. Gonna see how this goes. Spring roll all the way back in 14th. Definitely gonna need to try to do something to get more involved in this championship fight. Beijing Beef holds off Chris. Spencer Alfredo now right behind Chris. Second through fifth, all right here. Phil Slow doing what he normally does and just drives away, keeps it calm. I think his other race this season, if I can go back to remember, was Barber. That one I think played out a little bit differently since he got to the lead later in the race, but Road America, he took the lead and then just took off. And I think it was like a 16-second gap or something. It was pretty incredible. Phil Slow absolutely drove away with that one. And earned, I think, most of the bonus points, since I think he led every lap. Or at least got very close to doing so. Beijing Beef taking a defensive line once again. Chris tried taking a little bit of a peek, but tucks back in line. As we ride around once again. Definitely turn one is the best passing opportunity but you can do it into the chicane. It's a bit more risky, as they kind of reeled Phil Slow back in. You can kind of see him up the road. A big lockup from the 99. That's why you wouldn't really want to do that. Just one lockup, and that can send a bunch of cars off course. Especially if you get parked in the middle of it. Fast, I believe almost flat final turn. That leads you onto the front stretch. If you get a good exit, you can get a good run down into turn 1 and take the position from the car ahead of you. But you definitely have to make sure it all goes well. Spencer Alfredo still holding on to Chris. Farthest up battle, that's less than half a second, as Sussus Amogus absolutely sends it in on Spencer Alfredo. You saw it in the back. He moves up into 4th. And now Spencer Alfredo drops down to 5th. So yeah, it can be done into the chicane as we just saw. But it definitely, everything needs to go right, as Spencer Alfredo lost a lot of momentum and has before right behind him. Before trying to look around the outside, that's the tuck back in line. Spencer Alfredo holds on to 5th place, but Kirishima pops out once again. Spencer Alfredo lost a lot of momentum getting past by Sussus Amogus. No one popping down here. But now you see Amogus has caught up to Chris. As Beijing Beef has closed in to Phil Slow, you see up here. So we're trying to monitor both battles. But definitely seems like Phil Slow just has the advantage on Beijing Beef going through the first 2 turns. The big round, almost kind of carousel-like turn. Phil Slow just gets the advantage. The Sun has gone off track and around. Don't hit anything, and he hit something in turn 2, but he got back going. He probably just locked up. Luckily, it doesn't look like severe damage, but that's going to throw him down only 1 spot, so it's only 1 point he's losing, and he wasn't a big championship contender anyways, being down 24th in points. Now he's got a little bit of work to do, as now we look at David Bialois trying to look for a move around Kirishima. Doesn't make it work, and Sebastio has gone off and around just like the 14, just locked up, got onto the grass, spun around. I guarantee you that's almost exactly what happened. We see Chris lock up a little bit. Spencer Alfredo kind of closed back in, but Sussus Amogus still right behind Chris. So now we're starting to see some cars lose grip from the tires. They're starting to go all over the place. Sussus Amogus may have the run to try to work around the outside of Chris. Here we go. And just makes it look easy. Sussus Amogus now onto the podium. But Chris trying to fight back, just not there. Chris will have to be in 4th for now. But could try to get a run into the chicane. Four cars, all really close. Beijing Beef once again closed back into Phil Slow. It just seems like Beijing Beef is better on the second half of the course, but Phil Slow definitely better on the first half. We'll have to see what the gap is. It seems like Beijing Beef actually did pretty well with turn 1 and 2, now right behind Phil Slow, as Karishima has got around Spencer Alfredo through turns 1 and 2. So we look back, Karishima just kind of dove it in and then stuck it onto the throttle and made it work. But it was definitely more of a struggle pass than some of the other ones we've seen for that turn, but it did get Karishima up into 5th, just lost a little bit of a gap from the cars in front. Chris trying to go around the outside of Sussus Amogus now, can't get it done. Beijing Beef closed back into Phil Slow. Now, something that we do need to factor in is, will Beijing Beef even be able to pass Phil Slow? He's caught up to him, but can he get by? Which is definitely a factor that we haven't really looked at this race. Just seems like Beijing Beef is not really aggressive enough. He wasn't very aggressive at Michigan either. And just kind of, he didn't really try to get into pit road too urgently like some of the others. Like, he didn't try to move down to the inside. And once he was on the inside, he never really went for the lead like some of the others. He just kind of sat back, and I think that's kind of what Beijing Beef's problem is. He can get consistently good results, as we've seen throughout the season, which is why he's in the championship battle. It's just he's not going hard enough, and he's not getting what he should be getting. He can win, just he needs to become a little more aggressive. He had a relatively clean season, just for last couple races he's kind of crashed a bit, which may be him trying to step up the aggressiveness just a little bit, but just hasn't worked right, so he's going to have to try to find that good balance to where he's not a wrecking ball and can still be consistently good, just consistently better. Chris trying to size up a pass on Sussus Amogus again will not happen. And we have another car off track. It is David Bialois this time. He may have hit the tire barrier. We're going to have to go back and see. Did he hit the tires? So, just locked it up, went into the grass, and that is a pretty big impact. And he is the first car to basically despawn from the track. So David Bialois out of this race, was running inside the top 10. But just doesn't go too well. Not like how he wanted it to go. Beijing Beef has closed back into Phil Slow as we're getting close to the halfway point in this race. Yeah, Beijing Beef could have definitely tried to push a little harder around the outside to get by, but he just didn't really go for it. That definitely made him lose some momentum, backing off a little bit, but now he could be getting a run down the straightaway. He didn't get too good of an exit, but he's starting to draft in a little bit. But Phil Slow is still pretty comfortable right now. And we see a little train here with a little train back there. So definitely still some battling throughout the field. A lot of the cars still pretty close together. We just have seen a couple cars go off. And those are the cars that have really lost the group ahead. Chris gonna have a good shot going into turn 1. As they stay close. Gus Fring, it looked like, was trying to make a move on the 20 of May Borowski for 7th place. Yeah, a lot of people probably aren't really going for the pass through the chicane because there's not a lot of room going up through that little channel. 2x2 could very easily become a death sentence. As it's just, the curbs are also pretty big and can easily throw you around. Sussus Amogus just turned his fastest lap of the race. Currently the fastest lap goes to Phil Slow of 52.0. But Sussus Amogus is kind of leaving the 0 and the 4 behind and picked up a whole bunch of speed. So Sussus Amogus is pushing pretty hard as he just set the fastest lap at 51.9. Sussus Amogus has recently just found a whole bunch of speed. He was he had speed earlier in the season, but was just all over the place, wrecking, very inconsistent. It was either he'd be running a good day or would fall apart and just wreck, or he wouldn't really be up there. He'd be back in like 15th. So the last couple races have really kind of lit a fire under his belly. Now, is it too late for the championship? Maybe. I haven't really done the math to see who's still eligible for the championship, so I'll probably have to do that soon. But yeah, the championship definitely is heating up. There's a lot of cars still eligible to go for it. As now we have to start thinking about Phil Slow, a 30-second gap, pretty far out ahead, as Beijing Beef, very slow going through the chicane, actually now under threat of getting passed by Sussus Amogus. Beijing Beef slowed down a lot. And now look at the 32. The 99 just isn't going to have momentum. I think this should be an easier pass for Sussus Amogus. Goes around the outside, has a little bit of a lockup, but will take the lead. Beijing Beef trying to fight back on the outside, but it's just not there. Trying to fight back again. We'll have to see if this battle continues, like, down the straightaway or something. But now Sussus Amogus up into second, has 4.2 seconds between him and Phil Slow. Let's see if we can get a zoomed out shot so we can see both of them. Maybe from blimp camera, maybe. No, I don't think this is going to be good enough. But let's check. We could use to see this, to see how much of a draft these cars are getting. Look at the 77, just sucking up to the 4. You can easily see how big the draft is here. Yeah, you can't really see both of them in one frame. That's kind of how big the gap is. Let's take a little ride around here. Lots of elevation change on this track, and for turn 1 and 2, you don't really know how fast to be going at because sometimes it just doesn't feel like enough. And we see Chris has now caught up to Beijing Beef, who lost a lot of speed and has been going about a second and a half slower than the cars around him. So that 99 has definitely slowed down and lost a whole lot of momentum. I don't know if he broke something on the car, but now he locks up. Maybe the tires are just wasted. And you can't really ask of him to do anymore. Now we're gonna see what happens as they charge down into turn 1. Beijing Beef pulling off to the left side to try to defend. Sorry, the right side. But Beijing Beef stays just ahead as Karishima tries to send it in on the 0 as the 17 of Mahavir Raghunathan has gone off. But the 0 and the 4 battling. The 4 just got ahead. And the 20 and the 83 are battling side by side. Maborowski gets passed by Gus Fring. A lot of action right there. As Beijing Beef cuts the curbs a little bit. And that probably slowed him down even more, as he is just having cars stack up behind him. Karishima and Chris battled a little bit more. Chris tried looking to go around. Let's see if Karishima has anything on Beijing Beef. Going into turn 1, you see a big line of cars. And look at Chris almost looked to go free wide as they all are starting to go by. Chris going by. Almost went off though. Spencer Alfredo dropped a lot, gets passed by Maborowski. Gus Fring going by Chris. And Spencer Alfredo just got shuffled all the way back to 9th place, just like that. Chris, it looked like they had it, but just dropped almost off the track and slowed down a lot and lost a couple spots. So a shake-up in the field, as now Beijing Beef still just trying to hold on for dear life. But he is just going way much slower than the cars around him, as now he gets passed by Gus Fring, who moves into 4th. Phil Slow still pulling away from Sussa Samogas. About 5 seconds is the gap now. But Phil Slow is going to be pulling up on lap traffic soon. Has the 14 of the Sun ahead. Yeah, just the 99 is very slow into the chicane and has no momentum going around the rest of the track. Chris may be a little too far back to be able to make a move, as Beijing Beef has a big lockup. His tires are definitely shot. As the 20 of Maborowski trying to hold off the 84 of Chad Broski. As the 14 of the Sun has gone off again. Chad Broski gets by. 84 gets back going, but the 07 of Phil Slow needs to try to get around or he'll lose some time to Sussa Samogas. Just, that was a huge time waster But Phil Slow has now got ahead, but the 14 trying to fight back. That was a huge loss of time. 5 seconds down to just over 3 seconds. As Chris has now passed Beijing Beef. Beijing Beef drops back to 7th. Just got trucked. You see Spring Roll at the back of the chain. Quiet day today. Up 4 spots since the start. One of the bigger movers. Actually tied for biggest between him and the Father. Up 4 spots each. We look up here. We see a big glob just trying to pass Spencer Alfredo, trying to go around the outside of Tetsu. Or I think he's just actually defending his position. And will just stay ahead. But almost lost 9th place. Down 6 spots since the start. This group definitely being held up by the cars in front. Chad Broski trying to close in to Chris. 3 tenths is the gap. Chad Broski defending winner here. And then you see behind all the cars just trying to go by Beijing Beef. Spencer Alfredo tries making it 3 wide. But Maborowski and Spencer Alfredo just blow by Tetsu trying to hold on. And Tetsu still battling side by side as here we go down into the chicane. Who's gonna let off and who's gonna let the other by? Tetsu will just let Beijing Beef go ahead. So now the 20 and the 77 trying to move forward. I'd want to try to build that gap. As Chad Broski is right behind Chris. This is for 5th place. The 84 is there, but just can't get by. Susasamogus being held up by the 14. Tetsu did get by Beijing Beef. 7 seconds is the gap now. And the 14 just holding up the 32. And Susasamogus had to pass mid-chicane to get by. We don't usually see a pass like that. Chad Broski still trying to chase down Chris. 8 seconds between Phil Slow and Susasamogus. But Phil Slow has met more lap traffic, but did get by. It looked a lot easier that time. That was Mahavir Raghunathan. He had to try to get around. And the 84 just sails by Chris to move up into 5th place. '77 of Spencer Alfredo trying to chase down the 20 of Maborowski, currently in 7th place. Just ahead. 9 laps to go, and pit stops have not happened yet. We haven't seen any cars pull in, but we will probably start seeing some soon. And maybe some will be able to go the whole way without having to pit. This race has been pretty interesting, because normally by now, we would have already seen some cars pit. But we just haven't. Spencer Alfredo to the back of the 20 once again. Beijing Beef has now dropped out of the top 10, falls back to 11th. Spring Roll has got by now. Nine laps to go. 20 has 3 top 10s this season. Spencer Alfredo, I don't know how many he's got. I think he has a little bit more or about the same. Spencer Alfredo 16th in points, Mae Borowski 20th in points. It's definitely in different spots in this championship. Spencer Alfredo would also really want to help his teammate and their team earn more points, as speaking of his teammate, Phil Slow has came in to pit. Sussus Amogus has also pit. We'll have to see if anyone tries to stay out and go ahead. Karishima will stay out. Phil Slow needs a good pit stop. Pitting. An 8.4 second pit stop, and he is away. A lot of cars actually stayed out. Sussus Amogus, a 9 second, so it wasn't as good. And then Beijing Beef, we'll have to see if his pit stop's longer if he was doing repairs. That's going to be something we're going to have to watch. So now Phil Slow in the middle of the pack. The gap between him and Amogus about 9 seconds. A 12.2 second pit stop for Beijing Beef, so maybe some minor repairs as Karishima will pull in. Anyone going to stay out? Or are they all coming in? Looks like they're all coming in. So the 07 of Phil Slow will take the lead once again with 7 laps to go. And Amogus actually lost some positions and drops back to 4th. Just staying out longer was the better option. Karishima about 10 seconds behind Phil Slow. So Phil Slow very comfortable out in front. Sussus Amogus in 4th right behind. I believe that is the 16 of David Bialois, a lapped car. And then that's Gus Fring. So staying out longer was the better option. So fastest pit stop during that. A 7.2 from John Panini, it seems. Very nice. So Phil Slow up by about 12 seconds now, but has just caught some lap traffic. That is the 14 of the Sun, who slowed him down earlier. But he needs to just have a clean mind and not do anything stupid, because he has a big gap that he wouldn't want to lose. Gus Fring right behind Karishima. Phil Slow going to the inside, trying to get by the Sun. Gets it done about... Yeah, I'd say that's done. Karishima just stays ahead of Gus Fring. Chad Broski right behind Sussus Amogus now. So 5 laps to go for Phil Slow, coming to 4 to go. So I definitely say he should not be pushing too hard now. You see all the cars are over on that part of the, are like on opposite sides of the circuit. So right now he's just kind of relaxing, or at least he should be relaxing. Here goes V83. Trying to go around the outside, that's Gus Fring. Karishima not making it easy, but now the 83 has the advantage and goes by. Gus Fring now up into second. Karishima will fall back into third. As Phil Slow coming to 3 to go. Karishima now trying to look by again. So these two still battling for the second place spot. Phil Slow just, if he doesn't mess up, it's an easy win from here. 13 seconds is the gap. As the 15 of Eliza Doe has gone off track. Doing some off-roading through the chicane. See Beijing B fell all the way back to 17th. So that went pretty disastrous. Lost 16 spots and just no spins or anything, just lost a lot of speed. We're gonna have to take a look at his laps just to see where all the time went, because that would be pretty interesting to check out. '84 of Chad Broski still trying to chase down Susa Samogus. As the 17 of Mahavir Gunafin apparently did some off-roading. So, white flag for Phil Slow. What? Just another Phil Slow-esque day. Took the lead early and just never looked back. Just only has a couple more turns left to go. And these aren't really turns we've seen a lot of people mess up on after this chicane. So 2 turns left. Phil Slow just fell down to 9th. A lot of bad races recently, but now trying to come back into the championship battle. As here he comes out of the final turn, and it'll be Phil Slow to win the New England Grand Prix here at Lime Rock. And we also have a car off track, that is Jacques Croissant. Probably hit the tire barrier. Just went off. Just a slight kiss. And it'll be Gus Fring holding on to second to just beat out Karishima, who will end your podium. A solid win for Phil Slow. An absolute domination. It looked like it was going to get a little bit bad when Beijing Beef started closing back in, but then it all worked itself out in the end. And it'll be a good win for the 07. So now let's take a look at your final results. Phil Slow will just absolutely dominate this race. 14 seconds up on Gus Fring. Then we see Karishima, who will finish third and round out the podium. Susa Samogus, Chad Broski will round out your top 5. And then it'll be May Borowski, Tetsu, Chris, Spring Roll just getting inside the top 10, but will lose at least 2 points to Chris, so going to be about 22 points back after this race. Spencer Alfredo will round out your top 10, a pretty good day for the Magenta Trees. John Panini will be 11th, then it's Befauver, Rogero Espinhel, Missing Sock, Max Cold, OxyClean, Wine Silly Man. Beijing Beef just absolutely fell back. He'll finish 18th. And then also that is the end of Wine Silly Man's really good streak. Saul Goodman just absolutely slow today, 19th, just no speed. Uh, and then we go back to 20th is Eliza Doe. 21st, Diogo Sebastio had an off. Jacques Croissant had an off at the very end. Will finish 22nd. Mahavir Raghunathan 23rd. 24th, the Sun. And then David Bialois had the bigger impact earlier in this race. Biggest mover, Gus Fring, who finishes second. The Father also moved up a large amount of spots, 8 spots, finished 12th. So that is it here from Lime Rock. Pretty solid race. Next week we go back to Spa. Last season it was absolute chaos, and I think it was like a 40-second gap between first and second. Maybe this race it'll go a lot better. Speaking of bad races, I'm sorry about Michigan how it finished. Basically I stopped counting from lap 80 just because that's when the problem started happening. But it's behind. We got it worked out. So next race, Spa, I'm behind on uploads, so hopefully I'll get them all done. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.